Hey, my friends, it's Matt. This is the 10-Minute Bible Hour podcast, and I know a lot of you have probably had a chance to do some pretty cool travel around the world. I also know that a lot of you are just like you're on the front end of adulthood, and you'll get to the travel thing a little bit later on, but I highly recommend Rome. It's just cool, whether you are a Christian or not a Christian, whether you are of a Catholic persuasion or otherwise. There's just so much history there, layers and layers of it, all kinds of church history. And of course, Rome is attached to the Vatican City, which is like the headquarters of Catholicism. But the home church of the Pope is not St. Peter's Basilica, the big giant church in the middle of the Vatican. If I'm recalling correctly, the home church of the Pope is actually St. John's Lateran in Rome. And this is a site, a church that's got all kinds of interesting history. I think Charlemagne was either baptized there. Maybe he was even crowned there by the Pope. Was it there or was it St. Peter's Basilica? I don't know. Charlemagne, at any rate, the gigantic, super important 9th century ruler who is credited with co-founding the Holy Roman Empire. Like, he's got history there. The Cadaver Synod, where they dug up an old dead corpse body and then put him on trial for bad poping. That happened at St. John's Lateran. All kinds of art is stored there. Amazing Renaissance sculptures of all of the disciples line the nave, what Protestants or lots of other Christians would just call the sanctuary area, but like the main area where people sit in church. It's flanked by these incredible, larger-than-life, heroic, Greek-style, classical depictions of all of the apostles doing what they were famous for. It's amazing. Innocent III, the guy who declared a couple of the really big crusades, he's buried there right above the gift shop. Make of that whatever you want to. And also on those grounds is a shrine dedicated to the stairs that Jesus climbed on his way to Pilate's palace. We're going to talk more about that shrine and those stairs a little bit later on as we get to that point in the narrative, because it's a pretty cool point of connection with history that's still present if you go to Rome. But in that shrine that is built around the holy stairs that Jesus ascended on his way to meet with Pilate, there is at the base of those stairs a sculpture of the event that precipitated Jesus being arrested and sent off to talk to Pilate. And that event is the one we've been looking at in Matthew chapter 26, the one where Judas leads out a bunch of surrogates who've been hired by the religious leadership to go and do their dirty work for them. And he identifies Jesus with a kiss. And this sculpture, it's amazing. I don't know much about it. I probably could have looked things up before talking with all of you, but I don't know. You got the Googles. You can look it up too. It's right there, right at the base of the stairs. Right as you come in, you see it. And Jesus is in there. He's looking kind of gentle and forlorn. The expression captures the emotions we've seen in Matthew 26. The stuff about, being overwhelmed with sorrow and feeling this grief and this pain to the point of death, and praying to his Father and experiencing this abandonment and this sense of rejection. You see that on Jesus' face, and the sculpture depicts the moment where Judas Iscariot is leaning in, and you can't see it because it's a microphone, but you can, like, his lips are like, it's going to be a really big lippy kiss. He's coming right in. He is super puckered. But the point is, the sculptor here is really leaning into how much Judas was really leaning into this kiss and the overly dramatic sincerity of it. And I just think it's one of the most striking pieces of art I've maybe ever seen in person. That one has really, really stuck with me because I think it captures the emotion of a scene that goes by in just a couple of sentences, and the profundity of it can be easily lost. While he was still speaking, this is Matthew 26:47, Judas, one of the 12, arrived. With him was a large crowd armed with swords and clubs, sent from the chief priests and the elders of the people. They're doing this again, by the way, this cowardly thing where they hide behind their piety and their fancy outfits and the protections of their office. They only make public appearances to denounce things they don't like when it's very, very safe. It's all theatrical and nonsensical, but their actions here in sending out surrogates are reminiscent of what they did. I don't remember exactly where. I am having to turn to find it in chapter 22, where it says, and this is where Jesus is in the throes of firing back and forth in the temple courts and having repeated debates and exchanges with the religious leaders. It says, then the Pharisees went out and laid plans to trap Jesus in his words. They sent their disciples to him along with the Herodians. Teacher, they said, we know you're a man of integrity and that you teach the way of God in accordance with the truth. You aren't swayed by men because you pay no attention to who they are. Tell us then, what's your opinion? Is it right to pay taxes to Caesar or not? We just really want to know your opinion. We super care. But they didn't come out and do it themselves because they knew there was a decent chance that it would backfire in the court of public opinion, or that they would just get humiliated by Jesus, so they sent surrogates out to do it. So it's the same technique again. We're seeing the same playbook, except this time it's not their unarmed disciples going out, and it's not broad daylight, and it's not in front of everybody. This time, they rounded up a group of thugs, and they paid them money, and the thugs grabbed their cudgels and their swords, two weapons that are used a little bit later on to kill Jesus' disciples. James gets his, well, I don't want to say it in a gross way. He gets struck in the head repeatedly with a club until he is dead. That's how he dies. And of course, the Apostle Paul would eventually lose his head to a sword. And the first of Jesus' specific disciples, James, he gets put to death by the sword by Herod, a different Herod than the one that we've been interacting with. This is Herod Agrippa a little bit later on in Acts chapter 12, right at the beginning over there. And so this crowd shows up, and they're paid ruffians, and they've got these weapons that anticipate the persecution and suffering that Jesus' disciples are going to go through. That's persecution Jesus predicted in the opening of the Sermon on the Mount in Matthew chapter 5, persecution that he again predicted in chapter 10, the missional discourse. And now, I guess the big question is, who are these paid ruffians who are likely to screw up this arrest? Who are they supposed to arrest? Because they don't know. They're not paying attention. They're not traveling around keeping track of Jesus' stuff. These are gang members. So it says, now the betrayer had arranged a signal with them. The one I kiss is the man. Arrest him. Now, I can't picture the layout here. I was watching Mystery Men a while back, which is one of the greatest films humans have ever put together. And they got all these like bird calls and whistles and stuff that they're doing when they're trying to invade Casanova Frankenstein's lair. And it all seems a little bit like overkill and confusing. And maybe this was super overkill too. And they got in there and they walk right up to Jesus, and he's the one who's obviously the leader of the group. And maybe all the thugs were like, so I guess probably him. But Jesus is like, no. We're doing the kiss thing. I want to see it through. Like, caw. I want to do the kiss. We're doing it, doing the signal. So maybe it's like that. Maybe everybody tried to pull the I'm Spartacus, I'm Jesus of Nazareth, arrest me thing, though it doesn't really seem like it. The disciples, it doesn't seem like they had that presence of mind. And so, who knows how it plays. Whatever the case, they needed to be signaled. And gross of all gross, Judas picks this to be the signal. The one I kiss is the man. Arrest him. Going at once to Jesus, Judas said, "Greetings, Rabbi," and kissed him. And with that, the betrayal is complete. And Jesus, ever in control of the situation and ever aware of what is coming, just reminds Judas in that moment of what their relationship is, and that Jesus knew it was coming and that he didn't get tricked here. Friend, do what you came for. Jesus could have gone to ground. He could have gone to cover at any point. He had plenty of opportunities to get out of this thing. He's there because he knew he was going to get arrested. And this isn't one of those like theatrical arrests where you play it up for the cameras so everybody can see. Like, I got arrested. I did this. I am a martyr. No, he's not getting any public cred for this. And these are swords and clubs. This is an actual arrest. And he's not coming back. He's not going to go get booked and get a mugshot and then be out on the street to maybe get arrested again the next day. He's going to die, and he knows that, and still he's calm and cool in the face of this grotesque betrayal. Now think about how you felt when you suspected or maybe even knew that somebody you cared about, somebody you had trust with, somebody who's supposed to have your back. Think about how you felt when you figured out that they were betraying you. Maybe you've never experienced that. That'd be awesome. But come on, if you've been through middle school or high school, you know what I'm talking about. You've been betrayed, and you have probably betrayed. And there's this sick, green, gross pall that comes over you, a revulsion toward that person that is unlike just meeting a jerk on the street. You don't have history there. This person was supposed to be on your side in the same way you are on their side. And now it goes down. The words that you imagine in your brain as you think through the confrontation, I'm going to say this, and this, and this, and this, and I'm going to be like, and I'm going to tell him that, and you got it all worked out and rehearsed and everything. Jesus is like, okay, well, here we are. Knock yourself out. And that's it. And he goes. And it's not just a slight Jesus is enduring. He is on his way to death, and we've just got a glimpse into his mind in terms of what he's thinking. It really is a remarkable exchange, and I really do think that work of art in Rome at the Santa Scala shrine does an amazing job of capturing that moment and humanizing that moment. And tomorrow we'll talk about how the disciples respond to what is happening here. I'm Matt. This is the 10-Minute Bible Hour Podcast. Let's do this again soon.